Hey, what's up everyone? Zach D Productions here, and I'm here with a ranking video for you guys. So for this ranking, I am going to be ranking the Millennium era of Godzilla, which are, of course, the Godzilla movies from Godzilla 2000 all the way to Godzilla Final Wars, the Millennium run of Godzilla. So I do like all of these films for the most part, even the one that I do have last in my ranking. Now, if you were to ask me to do this ranking a couple years ago or even just last year, what I have last probably would have been different, but it's a film that, even though I still like to some extent, I didn't quite enjoy it as much the last time, but I still think it's a decent film, a decent, solid enough film for what it was. So that's why it's last in my ranking, of course. And if your ranking is different than mine, that's totally okay. What I have last in my ranking may be your number one, but that's totally cool. If your opinion is different than mine, that's totally okay. Just feel free to let me know what your ranking is for this era of Godzilla is in the comments, of course. And as many of you know, I'm a big Godzilla fan. I love Godzilla, and this was a pretty strong run for Godzilla overall. So I know that some of you may want an entire ranking of all of the Godzilla movies, but that would be very difficult to do. So this is just what you're going to get. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're just going to rank this particular era of Godzilla. So let's go ahead and get into it. So coming in last, got to go with Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, which is this movie right here. Again, decent, solid enough movie. I do like the practical effects in this film. I do like the way Mechagodzilla looks in this movie as well. And of course, one of the main standouts in this movie is the fight between Godzilla and Mechagodzilla. So there are things to like about this film. It does have its highlights. Some of the scenes are pretty cool, but out of all the others, it's just one of the ones that are, you could say, more forgettable compared to the others. But still, decent film. So Godzilla against Mechagodzilla is coming in last. Okay, so next on my ranking, I got to go with Godzilla versus Megaguirus. Now, I know a lot of Godzilla fans would probably have this one last. I know there's a lot of fans that say this is the weakest one of the Millennium run of Godzilla. And I can understand the complaints for sure because of the CGI. The CGI looks terrible in this movie. I mean, this one has some terrible CGI, but it does have some good practical stuff in there as well. But the stuff with the bugs in this movie, that stuff doesn't look too great. But I do like the concept of this movie, and I do think that Megaguirus looks pretty cool. So yeah, there's things to like, and of course it has that iconic scene where Godzilla jumps on Megaguirus, which is pretty funny. I mean, that scene has been memed before, as well as other Godzilla scenes, which is pretty hysterical, but overall, decent movie. Definitely not the best of this run of Godzilla, but still decent movie that's worth a watch if you like Godzilla. Okay, so coming in next, I'm going to go with Godzilla Tokyo S.O.S, which is this one right here. And this was actually one of my introductions to Godzilla. I think this was the first Toho Godzilla movie that I've ever seen, actually. The first one from Japan. And I did like this one, and I still do like this movie. It's still a pretty solid Godzilla movie. Is it the best? No, but I still like it, though. I mean, it has some very cool scenes. You got, of course, Godzilla. You got Mothra in this movie. I mean, some cool scenes with all the monsters and the fights and everything. Very cool stuff. Just a very cool monster flick. And, I mean, would I say it was a good introduction for me? I don't know, but I still like the film. So, Tokyo S.O.S, I really do like this film a lot. It's still a very strong, solid movie, I would say. So here we are at the top three. So number 3, we have Godzilla Final Wars, which is this movie right here. And this one really grew on me. And the reason I say that is because when I first watched it, I wasn't sure what to think of it when I first saw it. because I thought it was kind of weird and very different for Godzilla, but that's actually the charm of this movie, and that's one of the things that I appreciate about this movie, is that it is something different. It is very different for Godzilla. I mean, you have these fight scenes in the movie with these human characters that almost seems like it's like they crossed over with The Matrix or something. It has a lot of those Matrix style fight scenes, and the human characters I actually didn't mind in this movie, and they weren't boring either. So yeah, I do like the scenes with the human characters, and of course the monster fights you can't go wrong with. They're very well done in this. You even have a scene where Godzilla fights 1998 Godzilla, which is pretty cool. So they crossed over with Godzilla 98, which was pretty interesting, you know. So they kind of had some multiverse stuff going on in there. But I like that about this movie. I like that it's something different. I like that it's something unique. I mean, yeah, you could argue it's all over the place and all this and that, but I don't care. It's a fun movie. And I think that's the argument that a lot of people can make for this movie. Final Wars, it's just a fun movie. You can't go wrong with it. And again, it's really grown on me, so I really enjoyed Final Wars. Great film. It's coming in at number 3. So coming in at number 2, Godzilla 2000. And I've never had an issue with this film. I've always really liked this movie. Great movie for sure. And might actually be one of my favorite Godzilla movies. I don't know. I really do like this one a lot. In this one, you have Godzilla fighting this alien spaceship thing in the movie, which is pretty interesting. It's a movie that's not overly complicated. It's just another fun Godzilla movie that you can't go wrong with. So this was, of course, the start of the Millennium run of Godzilla. So Godzilla 2000, great film. And I also do like the look of Godzilla in this movie. The design of Godzilla in this film, really cool. So here we are at number 1. So what's at number 1? GMK. Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack. What a great movie this is. Now, if I were to do this ranking, say, last year, I probably would have told you something totally different. But this is another film that's really grown on me, and I would say that this is one of my favorite Godzilla movies, and I would say it's one of the best Godzilla movies ever made. Of course, you can't go wrong with the monster fights in this movie. It has some of the best monster scenes in any Godzilla movie, I would say. And I do like the look of Godzilla in this movie as well. Now, for whatever reason, he doesn't have pupils in his eyes. When you look into his eyes, he doesn't have pupils for some reason, but I personally don't mind because that's what makes him look a lot more menacing. So I do like the look of Godzilla in this movie. And of course, you have the iconic hospital scene in this movie where that one girl is in the hospital and she thinks Godzilla passed by without causing any damage or anything. And then, of course, she finds out otherwise. I mean, that scene is so iconic in any Godzilla movie. So, yeah, it has some of my favorite Godzilla scenes. And it's just a legendary movie for sure. A great film, a great Godzilla movie. If you have not seen this one, definitely check it out. So GMK is coming in at number 1. So that is my ranking for the Millennium era of Godzilla. These movies, let me know what you think. How would you rank these movies, this particular era? Feel free to let me know in the comments. So with that said, thanks for watching. Have a good one.